Hey there, welcome to yet another Banter Blitz with me. So, here is a question on chat on Chess24. Hello, anyone there? Yes. Well, at least I'm here. Okay. Just as usual, would be very nice to know if everything is more or less okay in the sense of the quality. I mean, if you can hear me, see me, just drop a message in chat on your favorite channel. Just to let me know that everything is all right and we can start a show. So, just as usual, I'm going to start with some people I've never played before. So let me just see if we have this sort of challenges. So there is a comment on Twitch right now that everything is good. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's have a look. We have not so many challenges just right now, but we definitely should have somebody I've never played before. So let's see. At least one game. Okay, so here is Hans Art from Netherlands. We've never played before, so we'll accept this challenge just to start with. Everything is okay, sounds good. Okay. And I'm playing with white pieces. E4, let's go. So I have 2907. It's yeah, it's not that much actually compared to what I used to have. At one moment, I was like 3100s. Okay, just a bad shape, guys. But I still think I will score tonight. Queen goes to c7, so one of the possibilities, obviously. And the point is to take on d4 and then to give me this nasty check on c3. So I'll just play knight to f3 so that my d4 is protected. And if cd4, cd4, queen c3, I just have bishop d2. Everything's fine there. Okay, knight goes to e7. Let's play a4. I like this system for white. The idea is to have a3 square for my bishop. Just in case black plays something like c4 at some point. It's pretty helpful, I suppose. So let's see. Bishop goes to d3. I think it's a good move. Knight goes to c6. Just castling, right? Why not? And f6, interesting. So what if I just take on f6 and then take on c5? I kind of have extra pawn, but I have tripled pawns on the c file. Bishop f4 is also an opportunity here. Bishop a3 looks nice as well. Well, I don't know what to try here. I mean, so many different moves and all look not so bad. So when you have pair of bishops, what you usually do? You try to open the game, right? So let's take. Then let's play g3, preparing bishop to f4. Definitely not the best way to play this position, but one of the possibilities. So now, once black played this c4, I have bishop a3, but without the pawn on e5, it probably makes a little sense to put the bishop there. What about bishop f4? Black will probably play just e5, right? I think my pieces are not very well coordinated, so I'll start with the rook e1 move, with the idea of bishop to f1, then bishop to g2, something like this. Or just at least to put the bishop on f1 and to have a control over e-file. I mean, position is complicated, but if I manage to do something like bishop f1 and then bishop f4, I will feel very comfortable. Yeah, okay, just bishop f1. Bishop can be very valuable defender of the king, especially after I played g3. h5, pretty logical continuation. Should I play h4 or just knight h4? I think knight h4 is a bit more logical here, honestly. So I'm going to try exactly this move. Just blockading h5, h4 push. And yeah, at some point intending to play something like bishop f4, but it may be not so simple to implement because right now it's tactically wrong, because if I play bishop f4 then queen f4, same as after knight takes g6, let's say rook g6, nothing really changes. And h4 is coming, so I probably have to play h4 now. Let's check. Rook g3 takes, queen takes g3, bishop g2, rook goes to g8, then something like queen to e2. I'm still in the game with the extra rook, but it's risky a bit. Do I have a better defense there after queen g3, something like rook e2, preparing queen to e1? I think I should be fine after that sacrifice, so let's just play this move. And then bishop g2, and hopefully something like bishop f4 at some point. So that's the plan. So long term, I mean, I have pair of bishops, so if position gets even more open, then I'll be happy. All right, so reasonable. Rook takes g3, takes, then yeah, looks scary in a bit. That's why I wanted to try bishop g2 against it. So at least after the sacrifice on g3, the next capture on g3 will be not check. So I'll have some time. Again, takes with the queen, then rook e2, then e5, intending to play bishop h3. Let's say I have queen e1, trying to exchange queens, so tempo moves, because black doesn't want to exchange queens in that situation, being the rook down and hoping for attack or something. So kind of that stuff. Okay, so black decided not to capture on g3, which means I have time to consolidate my pieces. So what could be a good move? I guess queen to f3 looks pretty natural. Protecting g3 one more time, attacking f6, and sort of preparing bishop to f4, because immediate bishop f4 was probably not so good because of exchange sacrifice. I didn't like that. Now, if there is an exchange sacrifice on f4, I capture with queen. So after the exchange of queens, there is at least no attack on my king, or at least it's not that dangerous. And if black doesn't exchange queens in that situation, then all right, my pawn structure remains intact. That's the idea. That's the point. This rook on g4 may be vulnerable. So at some point when I'm prepared, for example, my king is on f1, I can try bishop h3, attacking it, and then e6 will be under pressure. For now, though, black has to do something with the f6 pawn, right? E5. Interesting. I thought that move would drop d5 pawn, and it does indeed. So should I just capture d5 or maybe capture f6? I don't know which one is better, actually. They both look pretty playable. But what to prefer here? Pawn f6 looks more interesting than d5, because I have an immediate pressure on e5 pawn, and if this pawn goes away somewhere, I have bishop f4, kind of, you know, tempo action, and I like it. So let's go this way. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. I've just noticed it. It's a huge blunder, actually. Now the question is if my opponent actually notices that, but it's really simple. No. So rook f4 was possible, and it was probably just the end for white. Now white is fine, having extra material. No problems at all. It will be not so simple to convert it, so we still have to be very careful, but it's an extra pawn. So I will explain why that was a bad move, bishop to f4 in that position. Okay, for now, let's just do what? let's just go away with the king. Away. And a5. a6. Back to f4. Back to something like this. And most likely it's not the best way to play it. But also the way. Now it will be extremely hard to convert the advantage, but we still have rooks on the board. That is something that makes me pretty optimistic here. So we have some maneuvers. The king is not very good there, so can go around, let's say, check, just to take this pawn, for example. All right, so I won the game. Yeah, so is everything okay in the sense of quality? So is the stream still smooth? I mean, I'm not sure. Again, just let me know on chat. So what I missed when I played bishop f4, and that was so stupid, what I've done actually. Not here, but when the queen was still on c7. Let me just show you that moment. It was possible to capture here. I forgot that diagonal is already open. So after rook f4, queen takes f4, queen takes f4, and g takes f4, this bishop can go to h3, and I lose my bishop on g2 because now it's pinned. And black has what? Black has two minor pieces against the rook, and basically absolutely winning position because my king is so bad here. I mean, what can I do? Just something like that. Oh, there is a nice trick, by the way. I didn't notice that. Well, actually, it's not so simple. So king h2 is possible. Look at this. If rook g2, I just take the bishop on h3, and after bishop takes g2, there is rook to g1, and I pin the bishop. So I lose the bishop, but then I immediately regain it, right? So the bishop goes away, I take the rook. Well, actually, it was not so simple. All right. I thought I'm just losing. I didn't actually have time to calculate a bit deeper, but now we can see this. So black definitely has compensation after rook g2, king h3, and rook takes f2. But that's just a compensation for the exchange. It's not an automatically winning position as I expected it to be. All right, so it's slightly different. Okay. So Prom Night asks, was it rook f4, queen f4, queen f4, g f4, bishop h3? Yeah, exactly this. But as we can see, white has an option here. A very nice one, king to h2. Well, never give up. That's the lesson here. As for black, there was an interesting option after my bishop to d3 move in the opening, by the way. f6 is also absolutely playable, no questions. But exactly in this position, for example, there is something typical like this. And you grab my light squared bishop. Not so clear, by the way. So I can give it up, obviously, for the knight. But then I have pretty strong dark squared one, right? I even played this once, I think, very similar position in the tournament game, and I won it. So I think it's pretty comfortable for white because black has to think about the king safety. It's not so simple stuff here because that bishop prevents the king from immediate castling, and I already have threats like bishop to d6. I have some active ideas like c4 at some point. Knight can jump to g5. So white is basically attacking here, and we have opposite colored bishops. So the attack in this case should be just amplified. Yeah. So unclear. I mean, it's also a playable position. It's a question of taste. I mean, black had pretty normal position at some point. What went wrong? I guess, yeah, somewhere here, maybe this exchange was not very good. Maybe something like immediate e5 was interesting. Just intending to play bishop g4, because in this case, your knight is playing a very important role, just protecting d5 pawn. That's important when you consider playing something like e5. I think this is interesting because you can bring your bishop to g4 with the tempo. You can again continue the same way like you did in the game, but without exchanging extra pieces. So not simplifying the task for me. All right, so just, you know, maybe ed4, maybe e4, maybe queen a5 at some point, attacking c3. So not so clear who's doing what here. So who's fighting for advantage and who's fighting for equality. honestly. All right, nevertheless, good game. Thank you for that experience. Let's have a look if we have anybody else I've never played before. I think we should. For example, Prom Night from Austria. Accept. So stream is fine. Okay, thanks. Good to know. So, playing with black pieces now. So I gained only 1 rating point after the previous game, but it's not about rating here, guys. You probably know that. If you watch my streams, you know that my primary goal is just to explain the things here. And the result, well, it matters because, you know, I'm sort of a professional player, so every game counts. But it's not necessarily the most important thing here within this stream. So we have a Scotch main line. And I guess the D5. And H4. Never seen this before because I'm just too lazy to learn openings. Maybe it's a good move. So, how to react? Let's just play A5. I mean, white plays H4, I can play A5, right? Well, the idea behind A5 is just to prepare bishop to A6. Cobra is here. Hello. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. Now it goes to B6. And then we will attack this C4. Whenever it is protected with the B3 pawn, we have A4. Another idea behind A5. So it's not entirely about bishop A6 move. It's also about playing active chess on the queen side. And after all, after this change of the pawn structure, after knight C6, I mean this A pawn is abandoned. It's separated from other pawns and kind of potential weakness. So it's a smart idea, I guess, to get rid of it as soon as possible. Rook to H3. Yeah, that's the idea behind H4, I suppose. But is it that good? What if I play D5 right now? So, I mean, is it tactically sound? So if I play D5 right now, I attack the rook. If he takes D6, then I take the queen with check, and then I take the rook, winning the material. And if rook simply goes away, then I can grab C4. So let's do it. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with this D5 move. Was it really good to put the rook on H3? That's a vulnerable square? I'm not sure. Let's see, maybe I don't know something important for this particular position, but at first glance, it looks like we're winning some material right now. Yeah, nice stuff. I guess rook H3 works if black decides to play bishop A6 at some point. Let's say if instead of playing knight B6, I play bishop A6, well, in that case, of course, rook H3 is absolutely safe. So probably my opponent confused some lines here, which is pretty simple in Scotch because there are just, you know, so many you have to learn. Okay, rook goes to C3. What's the point? If I take on C4 with the knight, white probably plays something like B3, and if my knight goes away, there is C6 hanging, but then I can keep on attacking the rook, and I will win some tempi because of it. So let's just take on C4 then. I don't see anything wrong with this again. I will be happy to chase that rook and, you know, complete my development because of it. Taking on D5 is risky because of rook E3, but probably also playable, but I don't even want to calculate that. I have absolutely clear plan after rook takes C6. Another question, if it works as I want it to work. But again, I don't see anything against. So bishop B7 was planned, and then something. Now I see that there is B5 square, which is quite annoying. So there may be checks. So probably it's better for me to try what? To play bishop A6 and take on F1. Is it good? Does it make sense even? Hard to say. Hard to say. I also kind of completed development because of it. Yeah, I mean, I'll try that. Bishop A6 instead of bishop B7. Then I can take the bishop on F1 once the queen goes away, and then I can attack that rook with the queen D7 move. Again, restoring the coordination, I guess. because my bishop is kind of limited now on f8, and I want it to be developed somewhere, and there will be a possibility to bring it to b4 with check, so it also looks quite promising. So there is a comment, I don't like the traveling white rook, looks like a time waster. Well, I like it though. Yeah, that's true. So this rook is not supported that well. But now I see this, no, queen c2 shouldn't work because of queen e5 check, right? Attacking the rook on a1, again, winning some material, most likely. Aha, another trick, pretty typical for Scotch, but in this particular case, I don't think it works. Well, first of all, let's check if we just take the queen on e2, then what? We can start with queen a3. I think it's just a winning move, right? Queen d7 looks like a winning move because in that case the rook is hanging, but then queen goes to c2, yeah, protecting the rook and attacking c7. I think queen a3 should win. Let's just take that one. The point is, if white does the same and takes my bishop on a6, then I have queen b4 check. That's the difference. And if knight takes a3, then I take on a2, and then the knight on a3 is hanging, so I'm a minor piece up in that case. That's the thing. Intermediate check on b4. Something that should win the game here. All opponents moving the rook so early lost. Maybe I don't have the stats. Probably. Okay. So, white should regret now, I guess. Knight on a3 is hanging, that's the problem. And I capture it with pleasure. And I'm a minor piece up. I think it's a good moment just to castle. Because it's time. I mean, move number 17. The best move to castle. So we have extra minor piece. I mean, we shouldn't be against some simplification. So let's just get rid of that rook. Of course, if... Okay, white doesn't want it. So let's win some tempo because of it. Like, another rook to b8. Again, like saying, come on, I want the exchange. I want a simplification. Rook goes to a7, I suppose. No, rook b8 here. Okay. f4. How to convert the extra minor piece? Well, it's an endgame stage, so I think we need to centralize the king first of all. Pawn is hanging, we have to protect it. It's a passer, by the way, so it's an important pawn. Okay, pawn storm. Pawn storm. Let's try to break these pawns, because they may be annoying potentially. Let's just get rid of this, guys. Alright, it's time to bring the king closer to the center, protect the pawn d5 and make our rook free. Well, check first, just to see where the king goes. Now I think bishop b4 should be nice, just to bring the rook to e1, and then continue the attacking stuff using the back rank. The bishop to d1, pretty passive already. Now I guess we can do what? Bring our king to slightly more active position. Okay, h6, just to eliminate any sort of stuff there. Now d4, fighting for dark squares. That was the idea behind king e5. Bring the bishop to this amazing square. Now bring the knight to d5, which was freed after d4 move. Now moving the knight to e3. And a checkmate on d1. No, on a1, sorry. Didn't see that a2 square. Okay. So what was wrong? I mean, rook h3 is definitely not sound in that position. I mean, d5. And if you take there, I take with check, and then I take the rook with my bishop from c8. So I win the material immediately, which means this rook h3 was just a blunder. Because what happened after that, I think it's clear that black benefits from it a lot. I mean, it shouldn't be that simple, Bishop a3 was another blunder, but even if you don't blunder it, I mean, if you do something like queen e3 here, still controlling e5 pawn, I can take your bishop, king takes, and I wanted to play simple queen d7 move here, preparing the development of my bishop to b4. Probably you still have this queen c3. It starts feeling like something wrong because you play only with what? With your queen and the rook, not really developing your minor pieces. Here, for instance, I have some like bishop b4 with the tempo, and after queen goes away, I can castle. I have different jumps like queen g4 now, and so on. I'm just much better developed here. So the question, after d5, wasn't e6 better? So let's have a look at e6. I think it doesn't really change anything. So if you play e6, I can take with the bishop, again, a tempo move, attacking the rook, and then c4 is hanging again. So I don't see how this actually solves white's problems here. So I'm already a pawn up, and I'm going to take one more after knight takes c4. Okay? So that's the thing. All right, thanks for the game. One more against somebody I've never played before. Let's have a look. And then we just get back to normal order of challenges. Basketball. We have played 2 times already. Okay. Well, not 2 times, twice. I was told that twice is the correct word in this situation. KI2S. Germany. No games so far, so let's accept that challenge. Let's go. e4, white pieces, which means, you know, more freedom, okay? e5, knight goes to f3, looks logical. Bishop to b5. Ruy Lopez. And let's check this bishop c6. You're probably fed up with this choice of mine. But, come on, it works well. Why not? It produces instructive results. Usually that's exactly what I'm interested here. Just to teach you something, probably. Maybe you will teach me. But alright. So bishop d6. I think somebody played something like that against me already. So let's try h3, preventing... what prevented? I could have captured on e5 twice, right? And then queen h5 check and takes on e5. Come on, simple tactics. Now it's not possible, obviously, because knight can go to g6, protecting the bishop on e5. My god. That's why no one plays bishop d6, I suppose. Maybe it's not that simple, of course, but it feels like I missed a nice opportunity to win the material at the early stage of the game. God damn it. All right. Now let's just play for the center. Oh, gosh. So 3 minutes, says Giovanni, but it's 3 plus 2. So with the increment, just like against Onam, usually. So, I mean, it's not that dangerous. But I agree, I have to be very careful because, well, at some point I can forget about that and lose even with the increment. So, happens sometimes in tournament games. Okay, do we have an attack even here? Because black has pretty simple play, like g5, h5, and so on. But what if we take on e5 right now? Isn't it a blunder? Wasn't it a blunder? Let's just take, because g5 may be hanging. Let's see. Area 51 joined. Hello. I've seen you today during the training Saturday, right? So, which is a Saturday version of Training Tuesday for some time. And you asked about the Banter Blitz, so here it is. Thanks for joining. Thanks for your patience. Okay, knight takes g5 was my plan. Should I take that pawn? Even, I mean, I played d captures e5 to do that, so let's go greedy. Let's go greedy. Let's take the bishop. The The threat is now to take my h3 pawn and potentially to bring the queen to something like g6 square to attack my g2. It may be, well, very annoying. So queen h5 maybe, just to control h3 and g6 simultaneously. Still not very convincing, to be honest. So what I'm going to do, if black just doubles rook on the g file, probably something like king h1, rook g1 prophylaxis. Yeah, let's move the queen there. How are you? I'm more or less fine. Thanks for asking. So as you can see, trying to do my best during the weekend in the sense of streaming on Chess24. It's pretty hard because I work in Cologne and my family still lives in Bielefeld. And on weekends I go back to Bielefeld and I stream from here. I don't have a chance to stream from Cologne because there I have just terrible internet. That's another part of the problem. But very soon it's going to be solved, actually, from the 1st of October, I hope. We all go to Cologne. We found an apartment. And yeah, I hope everything is going to be fine with the internet connection there on the new place. And everything will go back in the sense of schedule. So training Tuesday will be on Tuesday. That's the thing. All right, so let's simplify everything here. I mean, we have extra material, so extra pawn should be just correct way of playing it. The only problem I have here is actually with my g pawn, but it should be solved as well. First thing I want to prevent is this bishop c5, because that bishop may be potentially annoying to my f2 pawn. So just before preventing bishop c5. Rook a6, good move. Which one? Was probably no chance to do that because h6 was always controlled until I captured that knight with the bishop. Maybe I didn't notice something, I don't know. So 29 seconds, but again, with the increment, still have to be very careful now. Let's move the rook to d3 now. Just to cover the knight, I want to improve my position this way. Just g3, king g2. Forgetting about that weakness on g2. And finally freeing my rook this way. So gonna be, yeah, okay. Let's just move the knight there. Just like in the first game. Here it makes even more sense because the knight can potentially go to f5. So, looks good. Should I play a4 to prevent king b5? I think it should be good. Should be a good idea. Rook d5 was also pretty good with a similar idea, just to prevent king b5 and also attacking the e5 pawn. But okay, this works also good, as I can see. And as you can see probably, so now e5 is under pressure. Okay, my opponent decided not to protect it, but that's probably a mistake because I can simply capture it. I mean, my rook is protected, so I can even take this. Now I have tremendous material advantage, which should be good enough for winning the game. If black doesn't take my rook on d5 now, I just capture h5. Alright, so should be easy win. It's already an easy win, I guess. Yeah. Alright, so I think I missed this capture on e5 immediately after bishop d6. We'll come back to that. But there is a comment about queen a5, rook a6. Let's have a look. After I played queen to h5, I think, because I never played queen a5 in this game. How on earth it's possible to play rook a6 here? It's impossible. I mean, maybe I don't understand something, but rook a6 is not possible. You probably meant this rook h6 a bit later. But again, this square is controlled. I mean, bishop is always here. I don't see how. So rook h6, I just captured everywhere. And here, yeah, just queen f5, exchanging queens. I still control h6. And yeah, so there is nothing, okay? And yeah, after bishop d6, let's just have a look at that moment. I mean, I think it's pretty simple. All right, black can take on e5 with the bishop and then take my queen after I take on e5. But if black captures with the pawn and I take this way, I guess I win the pawn after regaining the bishop, right? Just queen h5 and then takes on e5. So pretty simple tactics. I mean, it's pretty sad that I didn't notice it. Bishop e5 is a possibility, obviously. If I take there, black first takes my queen, then takes on e5. But I think it's a good ending for me because, like, the whole point behind taking on c6 is to damage the pawn structure, and the only compensation for it is black's pair of bishops. After this exchange, black no longer has pair of bishops, which means I have a much better pawn structure. It's a long-term advantage, and this c5 will be pretty vulnerable. I mean, it's a pleasant position for white. Yeah, I think d takes e5 was the most convincing thing. Bielefeld, okay, it's a bit drab unless the sun is shining. Well, to be completely honest, Bielefeld is just, well, you understand what's this. Actually, when you live here for some time, you can even see some advantages. But not that convincing to stay here for a long time. Anyway, all right. Challenges. We have a lot. And one of the challengers is pawn holder. I mean, we haven't played for ages, so I'm going to accept that challenge first, prior to playing anybody else. And it's going to be beaten, I think, because I'm in so bad shape. But let's see. Maybe I will score in this game. Happy to see you here, pawn holder. Let's play. I made my move. It's your turn. Come on. Pawn holder, are you here? Yeah, Giovanni. That's exactly what I felt when I've seen the pawn holder's challenge. But pawn holder is not responding. What's the hack? G6. All right, he's here. Let's play. What I usually play here, just bishop e3, I guess. And queen d2. And then I undermine the pawn on b5. Then I move my knight to d1. Knight f6 attacking e4, in which case we play f3. Knight gives to a6. That's interesting. I mean, I've never seen this way of protecting b4 pawn. But is it a good idea to have the knight on a6 in this position? Maybe it's fine. I mean, I don't know. The knight at least supports c5 move. But once again, I'm not really convinced. Well, let's see. Let's just play the typical c3 undermining the pawn. I didn't even consider taking the knight on a6 and taking on b4, because in that case, I believe black would have compensation. So, and the serious one, actually, with that great bishop on a6, controlling this diagonal and preventing me from castling, would be quite annoying for white. Rook to b8. Okay, that was pretty much expectable. What is next? The development should come next. Let's just do it. Bishop goes to d3. Knight to e2 castling. That's what we have to do here. Takes with the pawn. Knight goes to c7. All right, so that's the question. If the knight is good here. Okay, now I see the point. So bishop to a6 and so on. All right. Nevertheless, the idea of white here is just to maintain this pretty solid center, I guess. And we have pretty good setup for it. So pawns on c3 and f3 support this. Ones on d4 and e4. So we have a long-term, slight advantage in space. I want to hope at least it matters. All right. So then knight goes to f2. We restore the coordination more or less. And then we fight for open file with our rook from b1 and try to achieve something on the queen side. Whilst black's play in the center is a bit complicated, because if e5, then I take and a7 is hanging, so there are some drawbacks. Nevertheless, let's see how that works. Knight f2 first. With the bishop on e6, we may consider something like f4, f5, or even knight f4, trying to grab that bishop. But I think the bishop has just a good square on b3 for now, although not very, how to say, safe, at least not for a long time. But anyway, I wanted to put my rook on b1 first, and then disturb that bishop with something like knight f4 maybe, or maybe f4, f5, it depends. Maybe even c4 is possible here, with the idea of d5. Is it a move? Black will probably try something like f5, but this should be so risky. Is it really a way for black to play there? Well, maybe. I don't know. g4 is very tempting here, to be honest. Let's just play for more space. I think we can afford it. And now just h3. Controlling more squares, by the way. Now f4 becomes a real threat, I guess. Knight to f4 maybe also a move here. So I like my position, but I have to be very careful because pawn holder is very tricky. There is nothing on the queen side. Well, actually it's more like prophylaxis because black has some play on the queen side unless I stop it with my rook b1. So now it's harder for black to play rook b3, rook b8, and then rook b2 with the counterattack. This is the answer to Hans' art question. Okay, now f4 looks pretty good. Let's go for it. Bishop to b3. Well, here I wanted just to play c4 and see what black is going to do with that bishop. Is it possible just to trap the bishop like that? Well, probably black will have d5. That's the point. And I'm not kind of in time. Let's calculate. So c4, d5, or maybe even something like c5 with the idea of bishop a4. All this looks very strange. But probably black is still okay here. Do we have rook a3? Just attacking it immediately. That is probably the move. That is probably the way to go. Yeah, let's just attack it right now. I mean, why should we do anything? The bishop is already kind of trapped. Okay, bishop can go back to e6 now. That's the point. It's still not so simple, yeah, because rook b1 comes with check, and if we take on b8, rook b8 and then f5, then bishop can go where? To b3 again, then queen b2 or knight c1 should trap it, right? Yeah, let's do that. I mean, we're very close, it feels like that. We're very close here to trap it. So now gf5 or ef5, what is better? I mean, I think it's the same. And then just queen b2, right? Because rook on b8 is not protected. Yeah, let's do that. I hope I don't blunder anything. Yeah, but it looks like an extra minor piece now. Whew, interesting, isn't it? Looks like a bishop, which is here. Yeah, it's just an extra minor piece. Come on. Come on. Still have to be careful. So if we take on f5, there is what? Something like queen e7. But then we just move the bishop to g5 or something. Should be pretty safe anyway. Yeah, let's take it. Knight to d5. Let's just go away. Again, to g5 looks good. Maybe even after check on b8. Yeah, let's give this check first. And now bishop to g5, just to control more squares, I mean. Okay, let's take it. It's extra minor piece. Gonna be good for us. 43 seconds, that's the only concern, basically. c5. Okay, what can we do here? Just queen b5. Playing it safe. So you have to be careful till the very end. Only 29 seconds. That is something annoying, really. But come on, it's an extra minor piece, right? So we have to be able to convert it. There is nothing wrong with flagging, right? So my opponent can just opt for it. And that will be really, really bad thing. Okay. Resigned, and this is fair, I think. This is just fair. All right, pretty cool game, actually. I think this idea with the bishop e6 was pretty risky, and I think I actually proved it. So black just didn't have enough space for the pieces. I think the logical continuation of this story with the knight c7 would be simply playing bishop to a6, but it's not necessarily the solution to all black's problems. I mean, I can just continue with a similar plan. Now at least I don't have this plan with f4, f5, right? And black has more space for the rest of pieces. I usually try to exchange at least one pair of minor pieces if I play something similar with black. And then normally you have enough space with for the rest of pieces. I mean, but I believe, of course, pawn holder wanted to get some interesting play. That's why bishop e6, although risky, but you know, something that looked playable anyway. So, all right, thank you for this experience. It's been a long time, right, since we've played our previous game within the Banter Blitz show. Okay, I hope you're doing well. Now the normal order of challenges. Onam, accept. Oh, God. It's also been a long time since I won the game against a grandmaster or just a strong title player within the Banter Blitz show. So it leaves some hopes. I mean, my form is bad, but not that bad probably. All right. d4, now goes to f6. Knight f3. E6, C4. I usually play all the same stuff against Onam when I'm black, so I play B6, then C6, and we have a close Catalan. So let's play something more active here. Just C5, e5. Let's play modern Benoni. I played it only once or twice in tournament practice. So usually I don't play this sort of pawn structure as black. As white as well. Not very often, at least. So let's see how well we're going to handle it. Now there are different plans usually. You can play a6, then knight e7, rook b8, and after a5 you play b5 and open the b file. Another plan is to play knight a6, knight c7, then b6 and bishop a6, something like that. I mean, I want to try this one in this game, just to see how that works, if it works good or not. So the point is simple. My knight goes to c7 to support b5. If b5 never happens, we have b6, bishop a6, another idea behind this move. So for now, after knight c7, if white plays knight c4 immediately, we have b5. Okay. So now we have b6. And bishop to a6. As I said before, so within this pawn structure, similar pawn structures, white has what? White has advantage in space. So to exchange at least one pair of minor pieces is vital for black. Otherwise, it's really hard to find good squares for all the guys. Okay. So there is a discussion about the sportsmanship and the decision of pawn holder to resign when he could have actually flagged me. Well, guys, the thing is, when you're a master and grandmaster, just a FIDE master, you know, and you play Blitz, and this usually means you've played, you know, hundreds or thousands games. At some point, you just think like, all right, not each and every game is so important. I mean, not each and every point is so important. And if you play just to have fun, and I believe that is what I and pawn holder actually do when we play a game of Blitz here within the Banter Blitz show. I mean, it's not so important who actually wins. I mean, formally, right? It's about, you know, having something interesting during the game, okay? So it's not kind of sport here. That's the idea. But you're right, Prom Night, that's true. In Blitz, flagging somebody is just okay. Part of the process. So it's not something terrible or something. It's okay. Okay, now let's focus on preparing b5. So queen d7, rook b8, and then b5. So we have good chances to play b5 after all. That's our plan, to play b5 before and to activate the dark squid bishop. So there is also an opinion that it's not ethical to flag somebody. Well, if we talk about official competition, for example, championship, Blitz championship or something, well, every point counts, and people go there just to win the title, right? So who cares? If you have a chance to win the game by flagging, you should opt for it. That's the way you do. That's okay. That's Blitz after all. It's one of the possibilities you have there. If it is just a funny game, of course, yeah, I mean, well, it's also possible, but that is at least not something that I often do, okay? So, just as I said, it's not very important for me to win each and every game, and, you know, I don't really care about rating and this stuff. Of course, it would be nice to win, but, again, well, you understand my point, all right? I'll just focus on the game now. What to do? There are some sacrifices possible here, just right now, like knight d5, bishop d4 check, then knight takes d5, but I don't think I'm really prepared for it. On the other hand, there may be no other chance to do this. Do we have something better than just sacrificing the material here? Well, we can play this move. Just controlling e5, protecting d6, and it's not necessarily that passive, because now we have some ideas like knight b5, knight d4. That was basically what I wanted to achieve here with that move. So let's go knight b5. And then something like knight d4 at some point. Let's just jump there, because it's possible b2 is pinned, right? So we can get some sort of initiative, I hope, but we have no time. That's a big problem. It's a huge problem, I would say. What to do now? Just this move, attacking the knight. Trying to get to b2, that's the plan, but we're both in the time trouble now. It's going to be tricky, but now I think we have extra material after all. Opponent's pawns are also pretty annoying, I would say. Okay, after this, there should be just a quick checkmate. I hope, at least, for it. Yeah, there should be like this move. Then if king f4, we win a queen, like that. And now I feel comfortable. Yeah. No checkmate whatsoever. So, it's lost for white now. Whew. Okay. Okay. So the only chance was just to take on b2 here. And then to try to save this. But I think it should be winning still, because white only has this passer. This is on d5. No other passer. I have two connected now. So the only problem can be, you know, to blunder something like rook a2, rook a8, and then send some sort of, you know, attack with the bishop and the rook. But I can play b3 first just to eliminate that possibility. So rook a2 never happens, no. And I have this simple plan of c4, c3, or something like queen d3, queen c2. Yeah, it should be just winning. Should be just winning. Okay, queen d3, queen c2 is questionable because there is still rook c2, b c2, and bishop f4. But this plan is anyway valid. Like, put the queen on d3, then c4, c3. Yeah, should be lost anyway. Yeah, that was pretty challenging game. Well, at least the very last part, because there's time trouble. Although we played with the increment again, but still was pretty exhausting. So was it possible for white not to lose that simple here? Yeah, of course, it was still possible just to protect the knight. I guess it works. But I have some tactics. If queen goes to d3, there may be possible to take... It may be possible to take on b2. The bishop is pinned, so I'm not sure it works that easily. Okay, a lot of calculation should be involved here, but I think in this line it's pretty simple to understand that black is not achieving what he wants. So b3, okay, now back to b2, blockading everything, and yeah, it's hard. So queen d3 was possible, right? And I don't know, so knight is pinned on c4, but my knight on the8 is passive. Maybe I have some tricks after rook a1, intending rook to g1, but again, it's just one check, so probably not so simple. All right, pretty hard game. Thank you for this, Onam. Next one, Torkim Edita, I think. I'm playing with black, and now we play 3 minutes without increment, so I may be flagged in this game. Should be careful. Oh, this e3. Oh my goodness. How to make it less boring? It's probably impossible. It will be boring this way or the other. So let's just play active moves. Okay, let's grab that pawn immediately. Maybe now it's going to be not that boring because we have some center. We can play e5. After b4, we have this object of attack on c3. I mean, it's probably too much for white to weaken so many squares. I guess it's important to go back with the knight to control c4 square. Now knight to c6. Looks pretty simple play for black now. So there is this big hole on c4. Look at that one. And I want to occupy it like this. So now bishop on b2 feels pretty bad, I guess. This pawn on c4, c3, sorry, is a constant source of headache. So now we have pair of bishops. I think this should be strategically winning for black already, but I have very bad technique, so my opponent still has good chances to survive it. Alright, let's just play bishop a6. That's why I played b6. Maybe it's a stupid idea, but I think it will be a good replacement if white captures on c4. My bishop on c4 will look also pretty good. Alright, a4. Reasonable thing. But I guess I have time, so I can take on d2 and then put the bishop on c4 anyway. Right? If I even need it. I mean, I don't know. Do I really need a bishop there? Yes, I do. Andrey, do you know the Budapest Gambit Fajarovich variation? Have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, I obviously know what is Budapest Gambit, but I don't know how each and every sideline is called, and I don't even know the theory of that gambit. Sorry. It's not something I play with black, and I don't play d4 as white. So, don't know. Alright, now let's just undermine this pawn and create another weakness for white on a4, another target. Rook a6. I mean, if you want me to play d4 against you if I'm white in our game, I will. Of course, if we play a game tonight. What happened? h3 was played. Alright, let's just play queen d7. Already exerting pressure on a4, then bring the rook to a8. So, as I said before, black's play is pretty simple here. I don't even have to think. I'm just making most natural moves, and they work just well. Let's take with the queen. So the question about where you can learn about the Smyslov system. I don't really know anything like a good book on it or something. So just check the database. I mean, it's probably the most reliable source. Focus on the old games. It will tell you a lot about that system, especially games of Svetozar Gligorich. I mean, he was an amazing expert there. With both colors, by the way. But especially with black. He was amazing. Alright, so let's stop white from playing anything aggressive there first. Then h4 can be a target for us. So let's consider it. Alright, so it's already about sacrificing some material. So let's make several prophylactic moves. I mean, I don't think white has compensation here, to be honest. Why? Because, well, white's pieces are not coordinated. White is trying to attack with only one queen. It never works. Well, at least it shouldn't. Now, what is the easiest way to convert it? So let's start with attacking c3, which white cannot protect. Then we will bring the bishop to f3, I suppose, like this. Yeah, and it's over. It's over for white now, because we win just everything here. And that pawn is not going to become dangerous, actually, because it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, and checkmate. Checkmate here. Checkmate here. So what happened? Well, actually, First of all, d takes c5 was probably not good in that position. I mean, just continue developing the pieces in a normal way, like b3, bishop b2, knight d2. It would be just a Catalan reversed, close Catalan reversed, where you have extra tempo, I suppose. So, pretty solid position for white. It should be, at least. So the first thing, and then of course this b4, it's anti-positional, I guess. Well, if you immediately play something like c4 after that, maybe it works, but I'm not sure that it is possible here. Because I take on c4, then I can exert some pressure on that diagonal. With knight c6, it doesn't look good. So once I've got that weakness, that square on c4, I was, feeling pretty comfortable. As I said during the game, it's already strategically winning position for black. Pair of bishops, better center, you're a terrible dark squared bishop, numerous weaknesses, and so on. So it's sad position. Try to improve the opening stage there. So don't give up a center if you don't have a chance to save that pawn on c5. That's a general advice. All right, next one is Zurian 3+2. This time control becomes more and more popular. Wow. e4. And black is to move. c5, knight f3. Okay, it's going to be an interesting game, I suppose, because as you can see, it's Sicilian. And Sicilian is always interesting. So, bishop c4. That's what I usually play when I play Blitz. And now a4. No castling, no bishop b3, just a4. Going away from the commons theory and playing this more positional version of Fischer-Sozin attack, so to say. All right, queen e2. So I'm basically developing my pieces here prior to going active on the king side. That's the point. And then at some point, I just play f4, f5, and so on. All right, what's going on here? Let's just go away with the bishop first. I like to make this move, usually, just because your bishop is no longer a target to black's d5 or b5 stuff. You don't have to think about it even. Okay, now what to do? There are several options. So f4 is a possibility, but I think black will react with the e5. I'm not that well prepared for it. Another one is just a slow f3, but again, I'm not sure it's the best move here. So I'll start with a prophylactic king h1, and then we will see. I don't like to go all in on the king side when my opponent has what? Has these checks on a7 g1 diagonal, but now I think I made a blunder, right? Because after e5, my e4 is not protected. Oh my god, the first serious blunder tonight. So that's why f3 was a move. Yeah, just protecting e4. My god. But my opponent decided not to capture the pawn. I think it was possible. Just e5, bishop e3 is the only move, and then knight takes e4. Pretty good. With the rook on b8, I have a resource like bishop to a7. Not immediately. I mean, if I play f4 and black plays e5, I have this bishop a7. I've seen something like that in similar positions, just to win a tempo. But then rook goes to c8, and there is an immediate threat of bishop just b6 with the pawn. So I don't know if I achieve anything there with that tempo. Probably no. Okay, so let's just play f3. I mean, it looks not good. Oh, e5 was a resource. My god, I'm just blundering in this game. What happened? Everything is broken. My mind is broken. Out of a blue, like, I started playing not the best moves, missing opportunities. So, like, e5 is an interesting move, right? So the knight has to go somewhere. To d7, let's say. Then we can capture in d6. Bishop takes d6. Then we take g7. King g7, queen d2, bishop f4. No, it doesn't work. Anyway, so it's nothing. This e5 just looks good at first glance, but it's not, in fact. All right, let's just maneuver our pieces somehow. Want to play knight b4 again, probably just a stupid idea. But after that, okay, I will play e5. And then f4, and we will have something very similar to French defense, but the difference is that black has this b4. So maybe I have to prevent it with the c3 move. How about that? Then black plays b4 anyway. So it doesn't really stop black from doing it. I mean, I misplay this position for sure. Okay, so let's focus on this play. Just f4. And we're playing without increment, right? So I have only 50 seconds now. No, it's 3 plus 2. All right. Okay, so what to do? Knight c1, knight e3. I think this should be sort of automatic thing to do, because my knight is just terrible there. It should be somewhere closer to the center. I guess knight e3 anyway. Okay. Now queen to e3. I don't want to have my knight pinned. It's still pinned though, technically. At some point I should play f5, right? f5 even with a sacrifice or something. Is it a possible move? Yeah, b3 is attacked. Gosh. Just so bad in this game. Just so bad in this game. Okay, let's just move the queen away from here. Pawn down. All right. So let's go all in now. It's probably too late, but let's try to achieve something. Okay, so now we have at least what? At least a passer there. What's going on now? Rook f5. Is it possible? It's probably not even possible. Shit. Just a very bad position. Okay, king g2. Rook f2, just to make sure everything is more or less protected. Now we have some time trouble. We are in time trouble, right? But we still have some increment. Makes me feel safe. Okay. Why? I mean, okay, never mind. Where is win? There should be win. Sort of. I don't see it. I just don't see it. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So now it's technically winning, but we still have to win this. Gosh, it was so bad. I mean, it's still bad. I'm not playing the best moves here, which we may notice. But now at least it should be winning, right? Yeah. My goodness. And fortunately, my bishop of the right color, so we're gonna win this position. It doesn't matter that black gets to the so-called drawish zone because our bishop is a dark squared one. It controls the square of promotion, so we'll just automatically win here. All right, I was so bad in this game. I mean, at some point black should have just won the game, right? Because black made so great progress there. On the queen side, I think the mistake was to exchange queens so early and giving me this counterplay with the knight d5 stuff. But even that position was pretty solid. I mean, this one. So I played that crap. I mean, instead of rook c6, just rook c2 immediately was very strong. Now rook c8, not losing time on the bullshit. All right. So rook c6, king g2, there, rook c2, knight f4. And this position is probably not so clear already, but still, I mean, yeah, it should be clear, in fact. Just queen c4 here. Instead of exchanging queens, just create a sort of a, you know, almost a checkmate. Queen f1, rook c1, and so on. So, yeah, gonna be just a bad thing for white, right? Wasn't the queen hanging? Yeah, queen was hanging. I didn't notice that. I mean, true. After rook d2, you just take the queen. Oh my god. Yeah, obviously, there is still a compensation for black. By the way, maybe it's good that I didn't actually take the queen there, because bishops are very dangerous in such a situation when I have so back keen. Black has the rook and the minor piece, so last card compensation, so to say. Knight d5 doesn't work because of at least rook d5 and bishop c6, winning my queen. And this bishop may be just a bist in one or two moves. By the way, very good chess cat that you mentioned this option. I mean, I didn't even see that. That's the thing. I didn't even consider that move. Not a second. I mean, it was sort of time travel, but never mind. I mean, who cares? I mean, it was a queen hanging, so... But it's good that I didn't take it, actually, because in that case, I believe, yeah, it's not a joke or some, you know, try to justify my decision or something, because there is no justification. I just didn't see that, okay? I blundered that. But now I see that, indeed, black has a serious compensation here, so I would probably take black in this position, in a tournament game even. Because I don't see space for my heavy pieces, and I see clearly how black is going to play here. Just give black some time, I mean, like to play g5 even at some point, and that bishop will be maneuvered through d3 to e4, and it's going to be the end for white. All right, by the way, a very instructive moment here. I guess, yeah, black is doing very well in this position. But okay, after rook d2, yeah, after queen c4, I think I'm just in a very bad situation. It's very close to a lost position for white. So queen f2 is probably something that still holds for some time, but it's not for a long time, right? So like g5 is coming, queen to c1, I mean everything. Black is a pawn up, maybe even two pawns up, right? Because I sacrificed another one on f5. Yeah, 2 pawns up, pair of bishops, and I don't see compensation for white. All right. Yeah. Okay. A bit later in the ending, yeah, I guess even the ending is okay for black here, right? 95. Maybe it was not necessary to give up a pawn so easily. So something like bishop c6 comes to mind, because I cannot take on d5 because of rook d8. That's right now. It's still kind of winning for black. I mean, at least better. Yeah, so knight d5. Now it's kind of unclear. Okay. So, I mean, I definitely have some compensation, but in this particular case, when I played rook to d7, you had probably just a rook c6 move, and it's over for white once again. I mean, there is no attack. Rook e6 is coming. Well, it's not over. I mean, I will fight for a draw here, being a pawn down, but there is no danger for you. Okay. Yeah. So it was still better position for black. After rook c6, but you played rook c2, that was probably a mistake, because now you have some problems. So rook b8 is a threat. G6, yeah, was a possibility, of course. Now, I mean, I can at least regain the material, right? So rook b8, Rook b7. Well, I have a draw if I want, right? Rook b8, rook b7, but I wanted more already in this position. Yeah, but I didn't see anything clear. So, for example, check, bishop d8, so what? Would be nice to have some like bishop b6 or something, but I don't have this. My bishop is away. That's why I played bishop g7. With the idea of rook b8 and then bishop takes f6. By the way, here it's already not so simple. And it was just a time trouble. Nothing to say here. Lots of mistakes from both opponents. All right, nevertheless, thank you for the game. Okay, basketball. Let's play. White pieces again. Let's go. e4. So there is an interesting comment like, this guy reminds me of Kasparov when he speaks. Well, I don't think. Well, which Kasparov to start with? Because there are at least two I know. Maybe this second Kasparov. d6. If there is something similar, believe me, it's not intentional, because I don't try to copy anyone's style. If it comes to, pronunciation or something. If we talk about chess, yeah, I try to play in the style of great champions, but as you can see, I'm not very successful in it. Andrey, what was your best game? Well, I don't know. I hope it's still in the future. Typical answer. But if we talk about the games I have already played, hard to say, really. Oh, if we talk about, the positive results against the most interesting opponent, then it would be my game against Mamedjarov in the Pro Chess League 1 or 2 years ago. I don't even remember, which I won with black in Italian game. I would say that was probably the strongest opponent I ever actually outplayed convincingly and won the game. If we talk about tournament games, well, the strongest opponent I won the game against was rated 26-15 or something like that at that moment. The best draw, was against 2700 at that moment, 2700 Zoltan Almashi. So, I don't know. There were some memorable games when I won against, super guys of the past. For example, Grandmaster Balashov. That happened in 2005. So, there is something to actually talk about. But it's hard to say which was the best. What is the, criteria, and so on. I'm proud of, my wins or very convincing draws against, top players. That is something I would consider, my best games or something like that. And I have no idea what I'm doing here in this game. This is definitely not my best game because I'm not developing my pieces. I'm just pushing my pawns. Hoping that it would work somehow. Yeah, that's not how it should be played. At some point I have to think about playing g5 and then knight d5, right? Okay, this is just a one move threat, I hope. Just rook c1 protecting it for some time. Bishop e6. Black is doing well. I mean, I just lost so much time on bullshit, making just pawn moves and so on. What do I expect? Oh Lord, it's time to develop something, and I don't know how. Made so many mistakes already. Let's just play knight e2 then. What can I do? Potentially bringing that knight to g3 to control h5, and then g5 may be possible. I hope to make it possible at least. Like this. Basically protecting most vulnerable points in my position. D-file is not necessarily that simple for black to use because I control all the squares there. So I can even do something like bishop d3 now. Why not? Closing it for some time. I mean, bishop is terrible here, I know. But I just wanted to overprotect e4 to eliminate the possibility of the sacrifice on g4. Just, you know, overprotection. King to f2 then, rook to g1 and attack. Something like that. Knight to a5. Alright. Isn't it time for attack already? Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't see a resource. Let's take this pawn. Potentially doing something on the h file, let's say. Maybe it was wrong. From a positional point of view, yeah, it's probably not very sound. Okay. Anyway, now we have h file and we can play on this h file. Let's try it then. I don't see anything else. But I blundered that actually. b2 is hanging. Oh my god. Yeah. Probably I'm already tired. That's why I make so many blunders. So the question, you work in Köln. What is your profession? I'm currently a web developer. 98. Okay. What can be a plan? I don't know. To bring the knight to g4 would be nice. So let's get rid of that bishop first. Okay, from e6 it controls g4. Yeah, so many stupid mistakes here. I mean, I made it in this game. So many already. But still, my position is not even close to a terrible one. I mean, like, it's playable. Maybe it's not very good or something, but it's playable, all right? Let's find some target, some sort of target. It's hard, I know. Okay, g5 is protected. So what I wanted to try was actually to play a4, but first, I guess we have to play b4. I think we don't play with the increment, right? So it's kind of risky now. I have a bad feeling. I mean, I should lose this game. The way I play it, I mean, it's so terrible. It's probably just a sign that it's time to wrap up. What happened? Bishop e2, so how to recapture with the king, probably. That was probably a wrong decision. Because now I have some simple play. All right. Let's take with the king. Yeah. Still not so hard for black to protect everything that is hanging. Yeah, everything is fine for black here. I'm only 29 seconds on the clock. God, and black is winning here. Black is just winning here. Bishop f8 was very strong, but it's still possible, of course. Yeah, it's a very bad position for white. Knight is just so hopeless here. Okay. Yeah, of course. Oh, gosh. $11. That is strange. I mean, I should be winning here now. But I have only 7 seconds, so. Oops. It should be un paso. Alright. Let's eliminate at least the last pawn. Oh, how to do that? Oh! That was just a classic flagging at the very end of the game, but all right. Black was actually much better at some point, so it was absolutely justified. Absolutely justified. Yeah, that was not professional, but I somehow, I mean, from my side, not to eliminate that pawn, but I somehow didn't find a way to do that. It's probably not. Oh, it's simple actually. You just blockade it for, or you just play f4 here, right? And you eliminate it, and it's at least a draw, right? But I had some, good feeling already here. I was like, all right, I'm just, just promoted my pawn here. Should be almost there, right? Okay. Yeah, I think it's the best possible way to wrap up the show here. We had our normal 1 hour and a half, I think. So thank you very much for being with me. I hope you learned something new, right? That's the primary goal at least. And yeah. The question why? Well, because it was a funny end. Actually, somebody won the game against me, and yeah, just a logical end. Okay. I was punished for a diminishing quality of my chess in lost games. All right. So, wish you all the best. As I said before, the situation with just weekend streams is going to change very soon, but probably in October. So for September, we still have this weekend stuff. Sometimes training Saturday followed by Banter Blitz, but sometimes just one of the shows. So I'm not sure what is going to happen next week, but well, there will be definitely at least one show, I hope. So wish you all a great weekend and see you next week. Bye-bye.